listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. I'm with Emily Dean, and Steve Hall is with us this morning. Why don't you text the show on 8 12 15? Some of you already have. What about that? Follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
Frank, Steve is a guest with
Good
us
morning.
this morning, and you've already insulted his clothes. Could you say what you said this morning? It was awful.
He looks like a homeless man who's found the jacket.
I then did add and say, did you find that on the Northern Line?
Yeah, and ironically, this is the only suit jacket that I've ever had tailor-made.
Yeah.
And I feel
no.
Did you have trousers made?
there are trousers with it as well.
Okay.
Why does it look like that?
That'd be a bit tragic, Steve, if you could only afford the jacket. I'm saving
Well,
up
I
for the
couldn't afford them.
trousers.
They were a gift as well. So
You know, if you saved up
Yeah.
for the trousers and then by the time you got them, the jacket was a bit worn.
ironically, this morning you've come as Ian Stone from your outfit, sort of Ian Stone crossed with the cockerel.
I don't know. I look at no disrespect to Ian Stone, but will people know what he dresses like?
Oh, no disrespect at all.
Well, he does radio, so will people know when he? I think of him as a radio hero.
But you've gone with a jeans jacket, which is very much the ocean colour scene, Alan Cochrane territory.
Yeah, I mean it's not my look at all today.
No.
But I was quite fatigued, and I wanted to dress a bit like I was in bed to reassure myself.
I've still got my hairdo from last night, but that's another story. We'll get on to that.
Yes, you look great.
I
Can
do.
I say that?
Thank you for noticing.
Is that to balance out? one side of the room gets the praise, the other. You look like you nabbed a jacket off a homeless.
No, I never said that.
You did say that.
No, I said you were a homeless who's found the jacket.
Oh, I see. So I do apologise.
Don't diss the jacket. The jacket's fine.
That's infinitely
What
preferable.
I'm saying you're letting the jacket down.
Frank,
Anyway, we got there. Steve, welcome to the show. It's always lovely to have you
we
on.
got there. Where is there? Somewhere terrible.
Clarity. That's where
This
we
is
got.
the nice thing. Ordinarily, the abuse spreads itself over the first hour, whereas I'm getting it all in the first link.
Oh no, there's more to come,
Oh,
darling.
is it excellent?
It's like when you put one of those wash tablets in, and you get, it goes in solid form and then steadily disperses.
I don't think that jacket's had any wash tablets.
Yeah.
This is a Tom Sweeney. Let me have you know.
A Tom Sweeney.
Yeah.
Was that good, Em?
Yeah, not bad.
I'll take that.
Okay.
I'm out on not bad.
I have to ask Emily about cloth. I'm not touching cloth. Not on this show.
Oh, delighted you said that.
Thank you.
Okay, we have heard from the outside world.
We have
we not,
indeed.
Steve?
We've had an email from Ben Weeks at the beginning of the show to discuss the.
No, but thanks for the tip.
At the end of the show. Ben says, this search for a new ending to the show is folly, in my humble opinion. Now Get Out, for me, is the definitive show ender, as long as it's the classic version. Are we also now to hear less of The Guardian or a novel by Beryl Bainbridge, the latter of which he has used in conversation himself, and has in that way discovered a fellow reader of the show?
Right.
It's a bit sleazy.
It's a good point. I mean, I feel a bit like when Dylan went electric and the fans didn't like it. Well, I do like No Get Out. I must admit. Maybe you're right.
Well, maybe
Maybe
if you do the other one, if enough people shout Judas in the Dylan style at
Yes.
their radio.
Well, maybe you can shout Judas later on when I try the other one.
I think
That
you'll be
gives you a
shouting all
chance to get
sorts
your
of
own
things
back.
after this morning. Yeah, I do. If I'm going to be honest, Frank, which you know I will, I find there a very difficult pause at the end of the show. I feel stiff with stress as we approach the ramp.
But sometimes, an artist has to go through difficult, dark passages in order to find
artist.
another truth.
Yeah. So is that your tin machine phase? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but has he come out?
I don't know.
I'm saying, has he come out?
Come out. Frank, he hasn't come out. He doesn't need
David
to come
Bowie?
out. He's not. No.
No, I don't think he's... I don't care, frankly. Oh, I'm so... modern day thing you find yourself in. It's just the topic I feel strangled by. Oh, shall we play some music?
Yes.
Then I can have a rub down with half a fire brick, as my dad used to say.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.
We've had a couple of tweets in, actually, not just the one. Seems you're something of a celebrity these days, Frank. You were in
Really?
Mail Online, I believe, this morning.
What, the sidebar of shame?
Yeah, you're in the sidebar of shame. Arwin Thomas says, not a Who fan. Yeah,
Okay.
I hear you. So I asked the question, was Frank dressed as Peter Capaldi's doctor last night, crossed with Tommy Cooper?
No.
I know what you were dressed as.
Go on.
Well, it's not just me that knows what you were dressed as, because one of our other readers has said, "Hi Frank, I loved your 11th Doctor outfit at Jonathan Ross's party last
Aha.
night." There you go, that's from Mary Rose.
There you go, that's lovely. Thank you
I
very
can
much.
see, because I've seen photos where you're wielding the sonic screwdriver.
Yes.
And
Oh my
there-
god,
there
he
is-
kept getting that sonic
is-
screwdriver out all night.
There is an element in the delivery, in the screwdriving. There is a nod to Cooper. there is a kind of I'll reverse the polarity of the neutron field just like that.
This is the man who's turned up today as trading places. No, I loved having the Sonic. I've never owned one before. I don't really go into the toys element of it.
I was really worried you were going to be Perkins last night.
Oh, I know, that would have been the worst thing if I'd have
Really
turned up.
thought
If I'd have
you were gonna
turned
be
up-
Perkins with the hat.
Wouldn't people have been appalled and then talked about me behind my back and said, "Oh, that's great," and said, "Oh God, he's actually come as a character from that." It would almost be worth doing if I could hire a secret film crew to operate
Yeah.
8 feet behind me to get the reactions, and then make that a documentary. Wouldn't that be a good idea for a documentary? Doing deliberately crass things and record the reactions of those around you.
Oh, I thought you were sort of doing that sometimes. You know,
Sorry,
Frank,
sorry. Can we rewind?
I like that you gave a little nod. There was an homage to the Doctor, Frank, without it being in your face, and I like that.
It was one of those homemade outfits, I'll be honest. I mean, it wasn't elaborate. Like, Emily went as dead Dorothy.
Yeah,
from
zombie
The Wizard of Oz.
Dorothy.
Yeah.
Like something really bad had happened in that tornado, something dark. But guess what, Frank? I didn't have any fake blood. So I had to use Dior nail polish, red nail polish.
That must be the most expensive dog blood. That's our texting. What's the most expensive dog blood substitute you've ever used?
Yeah, I had that on photo.
Listen to this. I'm just going to check out the mic with the Sonic. Seems to be okay. We had to go into this. We were at Jonathan Ross's. Have we said that Jonathan Ross's Halloween party? And
I wasn't at the party. I was begging in the gutter outside.
well, at least you got that jacket. You did well. Jimmy Carr arrived in that jacket last night. That's why it doesn't have any shoulders. So we
Or VAT.
I think he does that one.
Okay.
No, we had to go into this like horror maze where really terrible things. Yeah,
You say terrible, it's a fun thing. It's not actually
Well, you say
awful.
fun, but I'm always genuinely frightened and slightly relieved to have got out
Clips of failed Jonathan Ross
alive.
projects.
And I was really glad I had the Sonic with me, because there was like dark doors that we had to go through, and I found myself as I got to the door just checking it out.
You were wielding it. It was really
I
weird.
found it really reassuring.
I wonder if the Doctor ever does that. If he wakes up and he can't find a light, and so he can't get his mobile.
Exactly.
He just checks what the time is with his Sonic.
Yeah, the Doctor goes to the ensuite with his Sonic, so he doesn't fall over anything on the way.
Frank, what about Kate Moss?
Ah, well, you see, I've never met Kate Moss before,
Really?
Loser.
and it was quite. It was quite significant. I
Yeah,
think
it was a big moment.
Yeah, we'll come back to this.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Yes, so we were about to go into the horror maze, and
At Jonathan Ross's party.
and David Baddiel said to me,
He was dressed essentially as his father.
yeah, and he was talking to some young woman, and then he said to me, Frank, and it was Kate Moss, and I said, oh, hello. And I thought, wow, I finally met someone who is like, I mean, beyond the cool things. Someone from the planet cool. And it's kind of really... And she leaned on this wall, and it wasn't a wall, it was a curtain. And she did one of those Del Boy things. I felt so...
She went flying.
Oh, I mean...
I mean, she looked great, but she went flying.
She did, and I didn't. Well, I think I said, actually, it's not a wall, it's a curtain, as if she hadn't realised it.
You did say that.
Yes, but...
I ended my life.
It was still quite excited, you know, I don't meet that many supermodels, I'll be straight with you, but it was, God, it was very...
Was
very
she
full.
Was she laughing, or was she in pain, or...?
Yeah, she laughed a bit.
Did she?
Yeah, did you think she didn't?
I think she... You know, the cool never truly laugh. I think it's fair to say that. That's the only way we sort of reassure ourselves that it isn't great to be part of that world.
But the way you've described, I now very much have an image of her saying, "Let's play it cool, Trig." We could be onto a winner here.
Yeah. What about when Gok Kwan actually said to me, "You look fabulous," and I think he might have then said "girlfriend." He honestly said those words to me, which I thought was just an urban myth that he said that. Yeah, he took my picture. "She looked fabulous, girlfriend."
I didn't know he was there.
Did you not?
Did I meet him? You got to bear in mind, everyone is like got heavily made up with monster outfits, so you can miss some.
It's quite a challenge for the tabloid people because it's that bit more difficult to see, like the pictures of Adele, because she's behind a veil or something like that.
Well, we didn't see her, Frank, did we, Adele?
I've no idea.
Ah. What about when Frank went in to ask him? Tell the readers, Frank, what did the paparazzi ask you? Who did they ask for? I think you told me this last night. Not you, they're interested in me. Thank you very much.
They did. What they did say is Emily coming tonight. I mean, what is that about?
They might be long-time readers of the show.
They might. No, I don't.
What is that about?
They're out too late to listen to this show regularly.
The real kick would if they'd have then followed that up with, and where's the cockerel?
Yeah.
Where's Wicked Stevia?
Yeah.
Where's Charlie?
Where's Bob?
So I was...
Is Gareth coming?
I was... when I was in the horror maze as well, there was a bit where something started tickling my neck, and I went, and everyone went, what is it? And there was nothing there, and I realised... It happened to me again outside, and I realised it was the tassel on my face. I was taking my own horror effects.
Did you see the community police officer?
That was a real person.
Well, I didn't realise that, so, yeah. I got myself in a little bit of trouble, I'm afraid. I was rude to her. Because she said, look at Dorothy wandering around like she owns the place.
Yes.
That didn't go well, did it?
No, but, doesn't she know that's your natural manner?
Yeah. That sounds like a community not particularly supportive officer.
Jimmy Carr grabbed her radio and started talking into it.
Oh, he's a character.
Is he preparing for the next 20 years of his career?
He's confessing.
Skinner, Dean and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute
I
Radio.
just spilled coffee everywhere.
Have you? Oh, no. Sorry. That'll teach you to mock Kate Moss for nearly falling over.
That's hubris, that is.
Yes.
Clean it up, Charlie.
That
was a joke.
Well, she's cleaning it up. Wasn't that much of a
Don't
joke.
tell them.
Oh, sorry. There'll be people watching it on their webcams, apparently.
Some people pay
Do
for
we
this.
still have webcams, Daisy?
This is very specialist interest if they're paying to watch this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's not like it's got a sort of Andy Warhol feel to it. I went trick-or-treating last night.
Did you?
Completely accidentally. Because,
What happened?
well, we went to a fancy dress party, in the week, a children's Halloween party.
Oh.
Where the adults didn't dress up, but the kids did.
Yeah.
And, my son, Boz, went as a bee. Thought we might as well go the whole hog.
Yeah.
So he's dressed as a big bee with antennae and, you know, the stripes thing, wings.
Yeah.
You know, bees. And, when I was at that, I just thought to myself, why do we ever dress kids in normal clothes at all?
Because they look so much cooler, you mean, in fancy dress.
Well, they love dressing up, and it's brilliant to have all these, like, miniature dressed-up things.
Yeah.
So, I for the first time,
It's like a strange carnival, isn't it?
Yeah, I truly understood Wayne and Colleen Rooney, who used to dress up their kid all the time, if you remember, and I thought, that's weird. It's brilliant. Anyway, so as it was Halloween night, we decided to take him just for a walk up the road in his bee outfit and put some little skull lights around his head so he glowed in the dark.
That's nice.
But I always assumed, and maybe this is true in some areas, our readers might help us out with this, that trick or treat was a kind of a menacing way of getting confectionery from
well, it was in our day.
And stuff like that. Well, it didn't exist in my day, I must say. This time of the year, we'd have been out on the street begging with a guy forks, not realise that we were being...
Pre-Cromwell.
Yeah, we were being trapped into anti-Catholic propaganda.
It's a pretty intimidating thing. When I lived in Bow for a long time, and I got knocked on the door once, and two incredibly heavy-set 16-year-olds said trick or treat. But then when I gave them a cherry bakewell, they were delighted.
Really?
Yeah, it was...
is that the woman from Box Fizz? Just happened to be in your house at the time. I hope you ripped her skirt off first, a la making your mind up.
We used to put, my sister and I would put shaving foam on the windows of the gated community where we lived. If not just if they didn't give us, you know, anything. It was just they gave us like something we didn't think was good enough. So like if the sweets weren't up to scratch, we'd still go and do something. Yeah.
So it's trick or good enough treat.
Yeah.
It's had to be a Ferrero Rocher
or Fabergé egg.
Yeah. Well, we. So I had no intention of doing this because I've always been quite hostile about it. And what I didn't realise is if you walk around the street with a small child dressed as a bee with skull lights on, that people actually stand on their front doorsteps with sweets waiting for trick-or-treaters to come along.
Do they?
So we were... we were solicited in trick-or-treating things. So he'd be beckoned from the street, which is really funny because my girlfriend Kath is a woman who thinks he should live on macrobiotic carrot juice. I mean, she's like that. She had no salt, no sugar, no fun. That's the food list. And they were giving him, like, bounties and stuff like this. And it was... It's funny where you find horror in Halloween. If you look at Kat's face,
he's become his own honey trap while dressed as a bee.
Well, yeah, it's what your idea of horror is, because when we were at the party last night, and on our way to the horror maze, the only true expression of horror I saw all night was just outside the maze when Emily said, "I'm sorry, I don't queue."
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I got a tweet in, Frank, from Classic Phil, who says, did Frank ever talk about the Observer article that compared Frank to the Great Train Robbery Insider? Sorry.
No, it was, yeah, what happened is one of the guys that was involved in the Great Train Robbery,
he was called the Ulster Man.
Yeah, there was a secret man that they never got.
The Ulster Man.
Was he a Mr. Big sort of thing?
Yeah, he helped them
Not
plan
Mr.
the
Biggs.
crime.
They got him. Never finished a sentence. He'd say, I'm going down the... ... they called him in prison. She never finished the sentence. They didn't. You know why? Because they're not smart enough. That's why they're in prison. Whereas the Ulster Man... Yeah. So this guy who was involved in the robbery was explaining to an interviewer or something who the secret man was, and he said he looked exactly like the comedian Frank Skinner.
No, he said something like, all I can say about him.
Yeah.
Did you then get a knock on the door from the police the next day?
Well,
you could have Phil Collins playing you in a movie.
I would have been a challenge in the identity parade.
Yeah.
I imagine is he still around, the Ulster Man?
I don't know.
If you're listening,
I've yet to confirm that.
If you're listening, send a snap in. I could have gone as him last night. That would have been a bona fide Halloween character, wouldn't it? The Ulster Man. Have you come as? Obviously. I could have just gone normally.
Well, it'd be great, because if you said I'm the Ulster Man, people might think it's a really obscure Alan Moore graphic novel.
Yeah.
And they'd be too ashamed to admit they didn't know what it was.
Exactly.
Do you know what I love about this?
Or zombie Ian Paisley.
It says the name and the fact that, as this gentleman later recalled, McKenna, which is the name of the Ulster Man, looked like the comedian Frank Skinner, were all he knew. but now a documentary team have used those clues to trace the Ulster Man. So they've used the fact that he looked like you.
Surely, when they did the, they did the reconstruction
bit or
bit.
something.
Surely I'll be used in the reconstruction bits as the old.
And you know what? It's a great train robbery. I'm just saying, you've got the costume.
Yeah,
you've got
the outfit.
Move those sacks! I'll be firing over those!
Frank, can we just take it down a little bit
do
next time?
I'd say we need a new expert.
Pretty good. Pretty good. I said don't hit anyone.
Frank, darling, that's lovely. Just a little bit less big this time.
Okay, yeah. What I was trying to do is I was trying to find that. I mean, imagining it's quite a dynamic situation for the Ulster Man here. So he might be a bit loud and a bit overstated.
I get what you were trying to do.
Okay.
Just take it down a bit. One more time. Can we go again?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Absolute quiet,
sorry.
please. And cue Frank.
But I said don't hit anyone. What do you think? What do you think? Is that any better?
It's gone a bit in Bruges now.
Oh, okay. Can I just have a minute? Can I get a tea? Actually, it's all right if I get a. Yeah, I just need a moment. Okay, thanks. Stephen, get a tea.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I thought your gentle Ulsterman there was very Tom Paulin.
Oh.
Yeah.
A very, very passable Tom Paulin.
I thought it was more like tarpaulin. Sort of a bit thick and not that flexible.
But this is a nice little shop window for you. Just with any other gigs that are coming up.
Yeah.
A nice way to do your little auditions by stealth.
The acting work is flooding in, as you can imagine.
Have you had quite a few offers? Have you had any offers?
No.
Be totally honest.
No! Anyway, I'm thinking more fancy dress. That's the way forward. Drop hints. Go, I should need to go to more fancy dressing. I have to say, I did think although I wasn't, my costume, as I say, was a bit homemade. I did think, why don't we do fancy dress more in life? Why does it have to just be once a year? When people, some days you get up and you have a thought about wearing something a bit different that day. In those days when you think, it's a bit warm, I'm going to go spaghetti straps. Why don't you think, you know what? Today I'm going to go to wear. I think gendarme.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing the moustache and everything, and go as a lovely French policeman. But would that be bad? It's no different from thinking, I might have a different hairstyle.
Yeah. Well, it's great fun with kids, particularly getting to dress Buzz up as a bee. It's something. Now, Polly is 4 months old, so it was her first Halloween. And she's in this harness. She's got dodgy hips, so she's in a Pavlik harness.
Keep it light.
It's all good. And so she's in this harness, and so my wife, they had a Halloween baby gathering, and so she turned it into a parachute outfit.
That's good.
That is an excellent
I
answer.
like that.
She customised an old umbrella, and it's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
But was it unlucky indoors?
Yes.
Will that child look back on that when her career hasn't turned out the way she hoped? Anyway, so it's been a childish week, really. I've been dressed up and I've had the sonic screwdriver, and also I got sent. Steve, you'll understand this. I got sent a Gotham City Police Department police
Fantastic.
badge.
That's like Elvis.
Yeah, well, it's not. It wasn't from Gotham City doesn't exist, which is one problem.
I'm so glad you finally accepted that.
That's why it wasn't from the real place. I did find myself saying it wasn't from the real ones. There is a new. I'm not here to plug programs, but I'm loving, I must say, Five's new series Gotham, which not just
on Channel 5.
Free police, but yeah. Do you remember that?
No, I just think that's very with it of you.
Can
to
you
be
get
watching
it? Can you get it on your? Can everyone get it now? Five.
I think just about.
Yeah.
It's a bit like.
Frank, is it? Please don't tell me it's an American procedural crime drama.
Because
you are out of the studio.
I'll tell you what it is. And I know I never watch American things.
Or box sets.
However, I think you'll see why I watch this one. It's because it's Gotham City when Batman was still a boy.
Okay.
So you hear people say things like, "Here, that guy, he walks just like a penguin." You think, "Oh, yes, well, yes. Well, remember you said that." That's very enjoyable for those who enjoy a bit of foresight. He's on, apparently.
That's got to be tricky for each one. If there's a little kid he's having a little bit of a win, he's a little Riddler.
Yeah, the Riddler's in it, in his seminal form. But if you saw young Bruce Wayne and thought, "I bet he's going to become a crime fighter," would you have had Bruce Forsyth?
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Steve Trading Places Hall. You can text us on 8 12 15, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, and email the show via the Absolute Radio Webby.
So how do you feel about that little moniker, Steve Trading Places Hall?
Well, I'm hoping people have listened to the first bit of the show, because it could be very, very much misunderstood as a nickname.
Well, I think one good thing about it is that although you look like a homeless man who's found a nice jacket, you also are trading places with the cockerel. So I suppose it's got a double.
Glad to think what he's wearing.
Double moniker, as I once heard the Cheeky Girls described. Which Gabrielle was felt very dismissed about.
They on the old chat show once.
Do you remember when...
Frank, answer the question.
They were in a sketch on my
were they on your chat show?
Yeah, their mother... do you remember when she started going out with Lembit Opik, Gabrielle?
Yes,
and Margit, the Mrs. Cheeky.
Named after a Chaz and Dave song.
Old Ma Cheeky. She said, they have very intellectual discussions. I heard that they were talking about astronomy, and I thought that's fantastic. But I knew what they were actually talking about. I'm certain.
Yeah, was
Lembit's theory that a massive meteor is heading towards the Earth and will.
I think they were more likely talking about astrology.
Yeah. No, but Lembit has got that. He has got that thing. Anyway, the police badge I got sent. Here's my point. Now, in a weekend where I have brandished the Sonic screwdriver, I love the green glow on my microphone foam when that happened. How do you think? Can I wear the Gotham City police badge without people thinking I'm
That's some T.S. Eliot poem. Well, okay. How are you going to style it up?
Well, I'm just going to put it on a lapel. That's the idea.
What's the Chiquito? Is it leather? Because you're going to need to leave this room immediately.
I don't think I can wear. I can't really. I have got one.
You have got a leather jacket.
Is this the beginning of your next big casting campaign?
I've got.
We've just got to make sure if Gotham survives another couple of seasons.
I'm actually trying
the first time.
No, I'm actually trying to get into the Village People. Not all of them, obviously.
Hang. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What are you hoping to achieve as a result of wearing the badge? What in your fantasy scenario would someone come up to you and say in the street if you had the Gotham badge?
The truth is, and this is what justifies it, I don't need anything from anyone else. I just like the idea of wearing a Gotham City police badge. And it frustrates me that I'm too old to wear it. And there are certain things. I almost never know where that. You know those leather trousers of mine with the side lacings. I almost never wear those. But no. Can't I just wear a denim jacket with a Gotham City police badge on? Why is that wrong?
I say go for it. I say be who you are. Dress up as Commissioner Gordon.
I can wear it sort of ironically on the outside, but in the inside, I'm actually fighting crime.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I've had communication. This is from Alison. who says, "Hi, Frank, Emily, and Steve."
It's so funny to be seeing you after so long, girl. But the way you look, I
Okay, leave it.
You were not impressed.
We'll have to stop paying. Both of you stop it. Hi, Frank, Emily, and Steve. I need help going to the boss's birthday party tonight at a Chinese buffet karaoke. I can't sing well. You're not the only one.
It's a mixture up of the Orientals, isn't it? Chinese buffet karaoke.
And need to sing a song. Any suggestions? Any suggestions? Thank you, Steve.
Need to sing a song, okay.
Gratefully received.
So a song for someone who can't sing.
So 3 Lions?
Oh, sit down. Oh. I thought you were a bit too keen to read that email out.
Yeah,
while that last song was playing, your eyes were alight.
Yes, and a machete was being raised. Here's a thought. I was once at a karaoke where the man from Aqua got up. You know, who, do you remember?
I'm a Barbie girl.
I thought you were going to go Del Monte, but you went Aqua.
But he was the man who said, "Come on, Barbie, let's go party." And he got up, and they played Barbie Girl, and he did those bits on a karaoke, and he missed one of his cues. He came in a bit late on it. Awful. So that's not too challenging.
Well,
what
I
about,
always go... Oh, sorry,
Telly Savalas. If a picture paints 1,000 words. You could do one of those.
I don't know if they have that, Frank, on most karaoke modern machines.
But you can do it with any...
That's the trick, is to find a song that involves mainly talking.
Yeah, like me.
Well, no.
So
Park Life.
When I'm in need.
Stop. You can't sing Park Life because it's mainly spoken word.
Yeah, but you could change any song into a spoken word.
Yeah, as William Shatner proves on his various albums. Mr. Tambourine Man.
Let the sky fall. Let it crumble.
Oh, that would be quite good. Right?
Yeah.
So what we've
I wouldn't do an Adele song.
Then?
That's probably a mistake, isn't it?
No.
I would go Johnny Cash, because you can sort of...
Nice and, Johnny Cash is good.
Don't go ABBA or something like that. I hate it when they do that. It's a bit hen-like, isn't it?
But I was thinking, does it need to be Chinese buffet themed? Should they sing something that's sweet
I don't
and
know.
sour?
I'm not organising this particular one.
I think
don't know.
I'm going to say Ring of Fire. It's not very challenging.
Absolutely terrible idea.
Yeah. And then in that case, if the Chinese buffet isn't very nice...
Yeah.
I think that's a terrible idea.
You can really back. No, that's
Ring of Fire. I've done Ring of Fire many times at karaoke.
Boy Named Sue. That's just
yeah.
You're getting too obscure now.
My
You've got to keep it light.
left home when I was 3, and he didn't leave much for my ma or me. Just this old guitar and an empty bottle of booze.
I'm finding this profoundly depressing.
Okay, well,
one piece at a time.
I'm going to do Hurt in a minute. That's a karaoke.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We need to talk about Robbie Williams.
Right. Oh, well. Do we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
We are morally obliged to discuss Robbie Williams. If you didn't see, he is a father for the second time. They've had a son, Charlton Valentine Williams.
Okay.
And he decided to live blog the entire labour and was putting up videos.
He went full Monty.
Did he?
Yeah.
I didn't see that bit. I must look that up. He's still a handsome man.
He's a handsome
See, when
man.
you've got those eyes, even when you age, you'll always be good looking.
Oh, he's got lovely Scouse blues.
Yeah, anyway, so yes, he
live.
I mean, he didn't blog anything graphic.
It was nothing rude. It was various jolly japes of him singing while his wife was in labour, and then
that was quite brave.
And then at the end, there was a little video of both of them. It was indicated that she was part of it, and that they discussed it before, and it was all part of the birthing plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, he announced a world tour.
She wore Louboutins. Lovely. Respect.
That's. You don't often see Louboutins coming out of a stirrup.
No.
Do you?
You do in my house.
Yeah, do you? What, you got your own stirrups? I suppose wherever you feel comfortable in bed is fine. I mean, I get that thing. If my shoulder's actually on the pillow, any part of the pillow is under my shoulder. Honestly, that's one of my most unpleasant things. Do you know what I mean? If there's a little, just a corner, even if it's just the pillowcase and the padding.
Really?
I can't have anything under the shoulder.
I'll ask you a question. How many pillows do you use?
One.
Really?
Definitely.
You're so Spartan. I have about 4.
Oh, God, no, you don't.
And 2 small puffy ones on the top.
No.
Yes. Honestly, I need it.
Do you know what? We did this on. We recorded the last of this series of Room 101, and Fiona Bruce put in people who have all those pillows on their bed piled up.
Oh, she'll never be a bedfellow for me.
And I haven't written it off. And I had a bit of Fiona Bruce foresight. How many of those can I do today? No,
I was told I look like Fiona Bruce this week.
Really?
How do we feel about that?
She's about 6 foot tall for a start off.
Oh, I don't think I'm coming out of this comparison well.
Or am I getting there?
Anyway, carry on.
She's one of those. She's got a BBC newsreader voice.
Oh, has she?
You know,
Yeah.
I understand completely. She'd do a great boy named Sue.
Roman Abramovich.
The karaoke. It was Gatlinburg in mid-July. My clothes were wet and my throat was dry. Yes, and I made an impassioned plea for the single pillow thing. I can't understand anyone who can possibly sleep unless they've got very, very long shoulders. Anyway,
okay.
I don't want to replicate the dazzling wit that I displayed on that show. I think people should have to wait for that. I'm saving myself.
Okay.
But I think that's very important. Doesn't it push your head up?
We'll talk.
Okay.
So did you entertain when Buzz was being born? Were you cracking the funnies to cheer up Kath?
Oh, no. I hope you weren't. That would have been awful.
Well, to be honest, I watched the videos. I was really impressed by Robbie's dancing. I shouldn't be surprised by this, but I thought he was a really good dancer.
He's a lovely mover.
Dancing to his own music. But I don't know if a middle-aged man making shapes at an emergency caesarean is completely appropriate, so I didn't. Also, my scrubs kept falling down. No, they did. I could not keep me... I don't know how fat the people are who have... they must be aimed at it shows what's happened to people in this country, but the scrubs, the elasticated waist was so, big that they kept falling down, and I thought, I don't want to expose myself in the operating theatre. They might propose ad hoc wart removal. And then I'd have to explain that that's actually an engagement ring. I can't get it off there.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
Should just say, Frank, we've had a sartorial review of Steve's outfit this morning. I'm afraid Julie has commented on the Twitter. Not sure on the roll-ups on the jeans.
That's mainly because it was a little bit wet. So I try to avoid them getting...
Right.
Yeah, I work with a guy who I love very much, but he used to wear... He wore those trousers that hang around, halfway down your bottom, and he was, late 30s, and I used to say, you can't wear those when you're late 30s. He'd say, oh, no, I lost a bit of weight, and they're just hanging... Come on!
It's a roll-up, because if you want to show a bit of Chelsea boot, do you not want to show a bit of boot? Is that not the way to do it?
Come on, you've rolled up your jeans, you want to be like Gene Autry.
If I knew who that was, I'm sure I would want to be them.
Cowboy singer.
I like that Frank went footballer's tense. You've rolled up your jeans.
You've looked up, you've looked down.
I'm not, so I'm quite altruistic. Is that like Gene Autry?
Altruistic. Yes, okay.
Is that grammatically correct?
I don't know, but what I'm going to call it is very you.
Anyway, poor Steve's clothes have been torn apart this morning.
Yeah.
If only they had. In a shredder, in a fashion shredder.
A lot of people...
Why don't you have one of those erected at the door, a fashion shredder? So if anyone comes in, I don't know if my Gotham City badge would last very long.
I don't think so, and nor does Tim Wilde, who has tweeted us to say...
Kim Wilde?
No, Tim, the brother.
Oh, Tim Wilde. Is he a tribute band?
Tim Wilde. I couldn't be friends with him. I'd laugh every time I said his name. He's let his jacket down. He's let himself down. He's let Absolute Radio down.
Yeah.
The sad thing is I left the house thinking, oh, I look all right this morning.
Yeah, well, that's often the way.
Yeah, that illusion
Apparently
has been shattered.
the Elephant Man used to think that when he left the house.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Yes, Rob. I was.
What did you think of it, Frank?
I was a bit. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt on the tour announcement.
I know.
Because the fact is, you can't. He wouldn't have, when he conceived that child, he wouldn't have thought, well, when it's born, that'd be a good time to announce a tour, surely.
Well, it's all been
Come on,
quite
I hope
convenient.
not.
Come on, help me out.
It's an
That's what I'm
unusual
saying.
world tour as well, like because he in the video where he announces every place. He says, "I'm going to go to Tel Aviv," and he said he's going to go to Minsk.
That's strange.
He said he's going
not doing so well then.
He said he's going to Krakow.
He said he's going. He said,
Yeah,
sorry to hear that. I remember John Inman telling me he was going to Minsk, and then he did.
But would you have done that? Let's
No.
say it was... No, let me finish. If it was, let's say, if you'd have danced to the Doctor Who theme or something, which I can sort of see. No, would you have... I know you don't like Twitter, and I know you don't like anything like that, but would you have filmed any of it properly?
What, the birth?
Yeah.
Only for my own
Yeah.
thing.
If you had a
Okay.
tour to announce, you wouldn't do the Venga Boys dance in your pants.
No, he would do that.
Oh, I did that.
Man in a suit.
Yeah, but I'm trying to keep bars pixelated as for as long as possible.
Yeah.
But I think it's a thing that what celebs have done now is the sort of beating the tabloids at their own game, because tabloids used to expose like very, very private and personal moments from celebrities' lives, and now celebrities do it. And the tabloids are thinking, I don't know what to do.
Tabloids are thinking, oh, that's a bit off.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I mean, that is cheap. Yeah, I mean, come on, he's entitled to some privacy.
It's really through bins.
It is so. They've completely undermined. They've beaten them by joining them.
They've hoisted themselves.
It's interesting now because I'm not aware. I don't remember a time where Robbie Williams was famous at the same time that Russell Brand was massively famous, and they're sort of two. It's like if Robbie Williams, watched a lot of Morecambe and Wise, and Russell Brand decided to spend that time half reading Noam Chomsky, but they're almost the same genesis, and then they've gone. One's become more of a light entertainer, and one's become a revolutionary. But there's essentially the same person.
Do you think?
That was the latest in the Guardian series of lectures.
You can see why.
What do you think, Tom Pauly?
This is why Steve is an occasional pleasure rather than a solid mainstay.
And a quiet taste. Be team and proud of it, fellas. Be team and proud of it.
No.
I like it when Steve gets intellectual. We need that.
I've just never thought of them in the same place as Robbie and Thingy.
Did you ever interview Robbie?
I like calling Russell Van Thingy.
I've never interviewed Robbie now, but I've met him several times. He interviewed me recently in a doctor's waiting room, which some of regular listeners may know.
Room.
Oh yes, yeah. I always like there's a young Robbie Williams is in a Mac Lads video to try and get rid of the intellectual stain. Like a very young Robbie is in the Mac Lads video to Newkey Brown.
I know the Mac Lads.
Can I say I'm a great champion of intellectualism? I won't.
Do you? Have you met Robbie Williams?
Can I say?
No. Russell Howard, whose show I write on, has met him a few times in a.
Well, you can't just
in a
do
gym.
that by proxy.
No.
That's pretty much my entire career is by proxy.
That's a bit far than
someone said you and your proxy career or something like that.
Oh, I mean, come on.
Can I just say I've met him?
Robbie Williams?
Yeah.
Well, I've met him millions of times. Can I say he was in the Three Lions video?
Was he?
The second one, yeah.
But who wasn't?
Or was it the first one?
Let's be honest, who wasn't?
Paul Coyer. That's all I can think of. So, so I'm going to join in now and start putting a blog of my own bin contents. That's what they'll do.
Yeah,
Video
yeah.
in their own bin contents. Hey? I say A.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Now, it's lovely to be back.
It's lovely to have you back, Steve.
This is a sweet release from me at the moment, because we're currently in the new series of Russell Howard's Good News, which I
you have to keep mentioning that. Blimey.
Oh, keep plugging.
I mean, we have to get the writers on to plug it. Russell Howard won't come on. Remember, he was going to come on. He blew us out. 24-hour notice.
Did he really?
Yeah. Don't come on here plugging his show if he can't be bothered.
I was unaware of that.
Oh well, there you go.
I will have stern. It's probably before I was involved. The series has got much better since I got involved. I've been a writer for the last 3 series. And
maybe you should be writing jokes for yourself rather than for other people. What about that?
Here we go. Frank and his career advice again. Frank's career.
I don't want Steve to look back and think.
I think if only I hadn't worn that jacket, I could have got those.
If only I hadn't gone on that show and Frank hadn't given me career advice.
No, not to think that you planted all your flowers in someone else's garden. That's what I'm worried about. Carry on.
That's the title of my autobiography, sorted. Planting all my flowers in someone else's garden. Buy it
because you're just that bloke who wrote for Russell Howard. Carry on.
But every now and then I get.
See, I think you could be a contender, Steve.
Right, you need to leave this now.
Okay.
No, but it's coming from a place of love.
It is.
I know it is, but still, you need to leave it.
Okay.
It's a kiss with a fist.
No.
Yeah, what a party that was.
So we've done it. We've had 2 episodes so far, and I achieved 3 seconds of fame. I was in a sketch, and I had to appear.
Oh, you were in it as well?
I was in it, yeah.
What, you're actually in it?
For all of 3 seconds. Let's not build this up to anything bigger than it is.
Were you on the television?
I was on the television.
Which one was it? BBC 5?
BBC 2.
BBC 5?
Oh, that's good, too.
Not since the heady days of We Are Clang has my face been on telly. And so many people gone, yep, that's fine.
So what were you doing?
I had a dart embedded in my head. It was a sketch about the UKIPs. And it was based on the idea because the UKIP try and present themselves as we're just people down the pub. So we tried to be what would the sketch idea was what would be the reality of a party that did all its business down the pub.
Can we say that Absolute Radio does not profess any political preferences?
No, but I vote Labour. Anyway, carry on.
Ditto, darling, ditto.
Frank's gone a bit quiet.
Yeah.
The Tories always do.
I'm green. Yeah,
Don't you find whenever you say...
I couldn't get it off from last night.
Frank, whenever you say after the election, or how did you vote? And whenever they say, I don't like to tell people what I voted, Tory, defo.
Yeah. Well, at best. That's what worries me, is it might have gone a bit worse than that. Anyway,
I got a couple of messages.
A friend of mine called Martin once went to a football match. I think it might have been
Martin
Bristol
Keown?
City. No.
Oh.
He was on the terraces rather than this was in the days of terraces as well.
Yeah.
And someone threw a dart and it went in his head.
Wow.
Stuck in his head.
No.
And he went to the St John's ambulance tent, and the St John's he said he went in, and the St John's ambulance bloke just he said, I've got this dart, and he just pulled it out and said, there you go.
That's fantastic.
That was the treatment. Wasn't really the point that I couldn't. Is it all right to put
stay out of the black and in the head?
Hey.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Steve, Death of a Clown Hall.
Steve, what?
I'll come back. I once heard Ray Davies introduce his brother as Dave, Death of a Clown Davies, but he had a song out called Death of a Clown. I just liked it as a middle bit. Didn't mean anything by it.
Terrible decision on your part.
If you die this week, I'm going to be... partly
could you
really...
get any worse?
Really?
Could you be any worse if you
I
die
have no
this
stand-up
week?
gigs in this week, so...
No, I'll be upset that you've died, but excited that I have psychic powers. Anyway,
a weird kind of Bruce Forsyth,
exactly.
if you will.
There wasn't no real Bruce in that, though, was there?
Just do the thing.
Anyway,
do what you've got to do.
Text in on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email us through the Absolute Radio website.
Pay no attention. Steve.
It's fine. I've been on TV for 3 seconds, so I'm all right.
Have you?
I've had a dart in my head.
What?
It's okay.
The dart,
this has
back
got
on the
me.
darts,
Yeah.
okay.
So this has got me
Can
thinking.
I say, by the way, before you continue,
Yeah.
if any of our readers have had one of those brief moments of fame on telly, like I was in the crowd at the Oval, very clearly visible in the front row, when someone threw a strawberry at Shane Warne.
Were you as Frank Skinner? Oh yes, if it's Shane Warne, yeah.
Yeah, but it's very exciting
Oh,
when
it's
you
so exciting.
just to be if you're on. Yeah,
I prefer it, to be honest.
what, being on the telly to not being on the telly.
No, I prefer the fleeting moment. If
Yes,
I see
it
a
is. So
friend,
if
in a
anyone,
fleeting-
if anyone was one of those fat bellies on the, when they did those features on obesity in Great Britain, they just show shots of bellies without faces. If you recognise your polo shirt,
yeah,
love to hear it.
the pixelated face. What about when I was
that's a
on?
lovely pub. There, have you ever been there?
What about when I was on with Shawaddy Waddy?
Were you on what?
Well, hold your horses. I was
don't remember
at
that.
the
Was that one of John Sullivan's early
No,
pilots?
I was at the Swap Shop Roadshow
Oh, okay.
as a result of my family connections. And we were at the Swap Shop Roadshow, and I got picked as one of the children to sit on the stage with Shawaddy Waddy playing. And I was a big fan. Natch. Darts were on that bill as well, I seem to recall.
Oh, that's a coincidence, Steve. Yeah, darts.
And
Rita Ray.
they picked the nice, sort of middle-class looking children, if I'm honest. Not the Tartrazine children that watched ITV. They picked the BBC children that read Narnia.
Yes.
And I was one of them.
The Tartrazine children.
Yeah. And
I've never seen someone slammed through the flavourings.
I was sat on the stage, and he came over, the lead singer, I can't remember his name, but I'm sure our readers will help us out. Dave, was it?
Yes.
Dave something? Anyway,
yes.
readers, I'm sure you'll know. He came over to me, and it was a love song, and he touched me under the chin. In a nice fatherly way, can I just say?
Yeah, there were different times.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw Shawaddy Waddy live, not with you on stage, but that's
No.
lovely that you sat. It's like the children's mass when sometimes
Yeah.
the priest gets the children to come up and sit around the
I'll
front.
never forget that brothel creeper.
I don't think you should call him that. Just want to check my, this tea tastes a bit, hold on a minute. Oh no, it's fine.
Do you know what? I just cut to Buzz saying, in probably about a year, Dad, put that away. It's really embarrassing.
See, this is another thing, the police badge and then a sonic screw. I really don't want to give up the sonic screwdriver.
No.
I really don't. I don't have to. Why should I have to?
Nobody's made. That's yours. That's yours to keep. That money's safe.
Did I tell you about the time I played an animatronic parrot?
No? Is this a lie?
No, this is
Oh,
the truth.
okay.
This is one of my fleeting. Well, it didn't even appear. I said my voice appeared. I'll tell you after this.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank remembered the name of the Shawaddy Waddy.
Dave Bartram.
Very good.
Thanks.
So you are an animatronic parrot.
Yes, This was a pilot called Woodcock, set aboard a sort of pirate ship.
Sounds terrible.
And a pirate, parrot, it's all, very confusing. It was quite a cast.
Who was in it?
Brunel Scales was in it.
Oh, that's good. Anyone else?
Imelda Staunton.
Oh, okay.
Michael Angelis.
Michael Greco, now you're talking.
Not Michael Greco, he wasn't. He was
Maybe good as a pirate, then.
It was pre-Greco. That's what, when they said it was PG, I think that's what they meant. So I was the voice of the parrot. I was brought in. I didn't write it. Can I make that before I explain what the joke was? It was called Jasper Parrot. So they wanted someone with a West Midlands accent.
Why
to
didn't they
voice
just
it.
get Jasper Carrot?
He was too big for it then.
Or was he unavailable?
Yeah.
And you were Will Drive Self?
Yeah, and so I turned, we'll do last minute drive self. I arrived. And there was two puppeteers, and I said, I'd quite like to operate the parrot myself, if I may. So I sat in this enormous, it was a fabulous, it was like Tron.
Oh,
I sat
lovely.
in this big, like a harnessing with two, and you could make it slightly, put its head at a jaunty angle and stuff like that.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
Fantastic.
I quite enjoyed enjoyed that. I was on the Kilroy once. I was invited on to talk about comedy.
I like to call it the Kilroy.
Tasting comedy, and I never spoke in the whole show.
What, did you sit in the audience?
I was in the audience, and then I thought, I'll come in with a big gag in a minute. And then he said, well, anyway, thanks very much. It's been a lovely episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Skinner.
I remember the researcher looked at me after in a sort of oh, you've really let me down kind of a way.
What about when Daisy, the producer, appeared on Vanessa?
Did you appear on Vanessa?
I know what it was she did as well. She won't admit it.
What was it, Dave?
They made over my bed.
They made over your bed.
Yeah, she was a student and she needed the money. They talked to her about her bed and they just said, I think they just cut to her at the end and said, what do you think? She went, lovely.
Wow.
Thanks, Sam. That was all we got time for on the Vanessa show this week.
This was when the makeover show was in its infancy. At that point, they were just doing items of furniture rather than entire houses.
I hope that's on YouTube somewhere.
They bring it into the studio, the bed. The horrible
Your
student
bed was in the studio.
Wow.
It's like being...
Tracy Emin watching at home had a brilliant idea.
Yeah, it's like Upsy Daisy from On the Night Garden. The bed follows her around.
They made her a quilt, Frank.
Did they? Blimey. You've kept this quiet.
Did you? How long did you keep
this?
Did you keep the made over bed? Is it still?
My mum just threw something away from it that she found, I think. Yeah.
Your mum's threw away something from your Vanessa bed? Oh, blimey, that's like the Elgin Marbles going.
They could, and particularly because if she had like her own craft show, Vanessa, she could call it Vanessa Felts.
Oh!
Come on, let's get that.
Let's pitch it. Commission times 6.
Oh, Fuzzy Felts.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
If she did a thing about craft and waxing.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
We've heard from the outside world. Anne Crick has emailed.
Yeah, we were asking if people have had strange, fleeting television appearances.
Yeah, like my Shawaddy.
Yeah.
You know, behind news reporters and stuff like that.
Anne says that she was caught singing along with her daughter to the chorus of White Room at the Cream reunion concert in 2005.
That's quite
That's
good.
pretty cool,
If you're going to be singing, because the only singing you see on telly is usually people reporting before an England game, and they get people going, why? As if that's a bit of local colour. But White Room,
and apparently it gets shown on TV quite a lot.
Oh,
the concert film on BBC 4 and things like that. So
Can you imagine how excited they get?
yeah,
that's a
we're on
shame.
again tonight.
What about when I went to an event once at Planet Hollywood? I should say I was an
Planet Hollywood is the DVD of me and Vanessa on the cover.
I should say I was an invited member of the media. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? This was in a media event.
Is this when you were the editor-at-large
Yes,
at the London Evening Standard?
I believe I was. And you may recall that was the night.
Editor-at-large, she'd escaped.
Yeah. You may recall that was the night I met Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, and the propositions you...
Expressed an interest, shall we say.
Okay.
I told him I'd get back to him, and I didn't.
No, that was one slam dunk he missed.
didn't go
Anyway.
to the Love Shack.
Oh, lovely.
Very good.
Anyway, that's none of your business. I was in Planet Hollywood, but I was, as I say, a member of the invited media in a private party with celebrities there, of which I felt part of these people in this group. The next day, they did some footage.
Can I remind you that I own a leather bomber jacket with the Planet Hollywood logo on the back?
You may, I wish you hadn't.
Thank you.
Anyway, the next day, they're doing some icy London Tonight or whatever. And they cut to a shot of me saying, astonished diners looked on whilst they ate their meals. They were acting as if I was a civilian who just dropped into the restaurant.
Oh, so you were an astonished diner?
I was an astonished diner.
That's a pretty good thing to be, though. What was that on? London Tonight?
Yeah. Oh, well, you're going to look it up, aren't you?
No, I just loved it. On your CV, astonished diner, London Tonight.
So humiliating.
We should... Can I say, during the last music break, we've discovered also, having heard Daisy's incredible bed makeover story.
Yeah.
Charlie then. So it's like we've been living in. on the witness protection programme. Suddenly said, oh, yeah, well, I did as the car insurance advert. I mean, this has never... All these things have stayed... These people have led secret lives.
And you then said, I hope you weren't wearing bikini.
Yeah, well, that's a bit more in context than that. I didn't mean that she, that she shouldn't have worn a bikini, but she said she leaned across a car, and I thought, oh, no, it's one of those.
I know.
Oh, dear. And then Daisy, very nonchalantly, arms folded, as she sometimes stands
she always
on.
does that.
So, well, when I was on Newsnight, I mean, for goodness, what's going on?
In front of us.
The secrets are coming out.
Well, we've never been on Newsnight, have we?
You know what? I don't know. I haven't been on Newsnight. No. And I've never had my bed made over by Vanessa.
Certainly not by Fuzzy Felts.
No. Well, it was made over. She didn't mean it.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Here's one more then.
Go on.
The NatWest Trophy final, cricket final at Lord's 2000. There was, it was Warwickshire versus Gloucestershire. I've been a member at Warwickshire for some...
So 2000, you're going through your, I'm calling it a Union Jack shirt phase.
Yes, well, yes, probably, yeah. And so anyway, there was a bunch of Warwickshire fans in the crowd, and they had T-shirts, each with an individual letter that spelt out, "Come on, you Bears," which is the nickname of Warwickshire County Cricket Club. And I was the O in com. Yeah. So they had a shot of that of us all in our T-shirts, but they never picked up on it was me on the telly.
So variation on the Who put the T in Great Britain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was... I was very pleased with that.
I like those characters. I've got one... There was a Bob Monkhouse gig I went to, and Bob Monkhouse was absolutely brilliant, but it was him debating against students at the Oxford Union. So it was an awful programme, and it was filmed. They were expecting it to be a primetime thing, and it was so terrible they eventually put it out at about 2 a.m. because he was wonderful and the students were just being oiks and just horrible, obnoxious Oxford types. It was awful. And so my mate saw this.
Oxford University students listening, can we apologise
but particularly
for that stereotyping?
Oxford Union types. I went to Oxford. This is Oxford Union people.
No, Steve went to Oxford.
We had to get that in. You had to get that in.
I was wondering why he brought that up.
But not the Oxford Union, which is the private. It's not even the proper student union. It's a private member.
I am impressed that you went
to he was actually kicked out the union and has been bitter ever since.
No, but Frank.
They dissed my jacket and they tried to give me career advice.
Yes, well, is it your jacket or did you steal it from Algernon that night?
Can I just say I'm impressed that you went to Oxford?
Bless your heart.
I'm impressed that anyone goes to Oxford.
So am I.
I mean, the parking's impossible.
But apparently I'm over one of the students' shoulders. My mate saw it when it went out, and I was
like a killed stag.
Yeah, they sort of the students gave their bits from the crowd, so there were people behind them for Atmos, and apparently the whole time I'm shaking my head and sneering in disgust.
Really?
And there's loads of stolen jokes in what they were doing, and just awful arguments being put forward. This mock debate, and it's just me just going tutting away. So I'm quite proud.
No, that's good. Do you have it?
I don't have it. So if I don't know if it exists in any. It's so awful. I imagine it's not even on the obscurest of YouTube channels.
I bet it's in Bob Monkhouse's garage. Yeah, because he had everything. Of course. Yeah, it's good. I'd like to see that. Sounds like sounds good, doesn't it?
He's brilliant. If you can ignore the students, he's wonderful.
Yes, that's always a good motto.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
If any of you've got any faulty electrical goods at home, if your fan's playing up, your watch is a bit slow, just hold them close to the radio. Just for 1 second. You got it there? You got that George Foreman lean green grilling machine that hasn't quite been operating at full rate? Okay, hold them there. There'll be absolutely no problem with those afterwards. That's that done. That's my good deed for the day.
You know,
I really hope there'll be someone has to have started working.
Yeah, of course. That's how Uri Geller built his career.
You know what I meant to ask Adele last night.
Did you talk to her? See, I didn't.
No. I only saw, in fairness, I only saw her in the sidebar of shame the next day. But I had seen her, but I didn't know it was her, if you get my meaning.
Wasn't she Mexican Day of the Dead look?
Yes.
Okay.
There was all sorts of lace going on. But I'll tell you what I wanted to ask her about.
I've got my humbug in.
Well, me too. Should we take them out together?
Let's take our humbugs out.
1, 2, 3.
Humbug out time. Humbug out time.
Thank you, Steve, for that ad hoc jingle.
A slightly sleazy one.
Perhaps we should briefly explain that I told you last week, readers, that Daisy reprimanded me for while we were being congratulated about good ratings. Let me take this opportunity to say, can we get some better sweets in the foyer? And one of the bosses of Absolute Radio has dealt with this problem by sending me personally a bag of humbugs.
It says Frank Sweets on it. I mean, it is a bit embarrassing, I'm not going to lie.
I wasn't embarrassed. They're very nice.
No, but they shouldn't have indulged your demands. Can we be straight about this?
This is coming from Emily.
Do you know what?
Lord.
Do you know what? I can't argue with that.
No,
You're
exactly.
absolutely bang on. I have no right, and I retract that statement.
Yeah,
fully.
also, don't say that while your mouth is still salivated with one of those humbugs.
But maybe you can up the stakes. If they've gone for the sweets, what else is there not enough of in the foyer? There's not enough small, intimate gigs by the Fall in the foyer at Absolute Radio.
I'm disappointed they've never done the Fall for one of their small, intimate gigs, I must say. But anyway, can't have everything in life.
No,
but can I say that piece of hypocrisy was classic humbug?
It was.
So you get a laugh like that in Gotham. And you think, oh, that's an unusual laugh that bloke's got. And you've got to, of course, he's going to be the Joker when he grows up. That's how it works.
I'm glad I was guilty of that, because it allowed you to walk into that fabulous pun.
Yes, exactly. See, we all help each other on this show. It's like a house of cards.
Anyway, Adele, the reason I wanted to accost her last night was because I'm rather obsessed with this. Have you heard about this Phil Collins, bit of fisticuffs going on between those two?
Phil's upset, isn't he?
Yeah.
Phil said of Adele, I'll tell you exactly what he said. He said, she's a slippery little fish, is Adele, which I love. I love because it's a bit of a Nana insult as well, although he said, is Adele afterwards. But he's upset. He was meant to be doing a song for her album. It all went a bit quiet.
I think he did it, didn't he? I think he did the song.
Oh, did he? Well, all I know is that it went quiet, and we all know what that means when it goes quiet. We've all been there. And
yes, it's right. When I wrote to Alan Bennett asking if he wanted us to write a play together.
What did he say when
he
you wrote
did
that?
reply, though.
I know.
He didn't just avoid me.
Well,
he replied in a very nice way, actually.
She didn't. She just said, when he eventually got in touch with her, she said, oh no, I'm moving house and the baby's taking up a lot of my time.
We've all, I think one of the great joys of parenthood is the excuse on legs.
Yeah.
Well, I've said that and I haven't even got a baby.
Yeah, well, there you go.
How desperate I've been. But I found this quite awkward, didn't you?
It's a shame because I don't know I think, there's only so much room on an album, Phil, if you're listening.
Yeah.
And that's probably not true, is it, actually? Probably you could always stick an extra track on. I don't know. I mean, I think I've said to you before that I never understand how there are any doubles in tennis, because I could never go over to, I don't know, Rafa Nadal and say, do you fancy being my doubles partner? 'Cause I couldn't cope. I couldn't cope with that awkwardness. Terrible. And whenever I see feet Rihanna or something on a label, I mean, I think, oh, I wonder how that was done. Did they meet at a party? And you've got to be really confident.
Well, that's the thing. The number of fake kind of like, oh yeah, I'd love to write a song with you.
Yeah, and then but feet Phil Collins, it turns out maybe we're not going to see on the new new
Adele.
Yeah, which for me is a loss.
Well, he got the age wrong, because the next album should be called 24, I think, shouldn't it? And
they're all their age.
Yeah.
See, I didn't. I know as a music DJ, I should know that, but
he added some years on. He said the next album 29.
Slam!
I figured since I won Best Speech Programme, I don't have to worry so much about that.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I was rather enjoying reading
What do you mean?
about Phil Collins.
I make tights. I don't run a cab company. Sorry.
Phil Collins, because I hadn't heard much from Phil Collins in a few years, and then he's been in the story in the news a few times.
Make a brother feel all warm inside, why don't you?
Yeah, I mean, if he's listening now, how's that gonna
he's had
feel?
some. He's had a Can't Hurry Love.
Yeah,
He's had
going back a bit.
what's the other one?
Susudio.
Oh, loves lovely Susudio.
It's an excellent game. You used to flick the football players.
What does that mean, Susudio?
I think "Can't Hurry Love" is what he says to his girlfriend now when they're walking uphill. I can't hurry, love.
He did
Of course,
the music
he got the
Brother
casting.
Bear.
He got the casting in the train robbery movie.
Oh,
That I
Buster.
should have had.
Yeah.
No, you were Ulster Man.
Oh, did we get a message to say that he's not called Ulster Man?
Oh yeah, bear with me. You talk about Susudio and I'll find this message.
So Phil Collins has also been in this because he's obsessed with the Alamo, and he had a huge collection of Alamo memorabilia, presumably bought with his alimony.
Lovely.
But he's just donated it all to a museum in Texas, so a museum of the Alamo, and he's about 200
I thought it
items.
might have been a museum of the Alamo.
Yeah.
But he's like,
If it had been like an optometrist, history of optometry, it would have been just stupid. Yeah?
He's various knives, Davy Crockett's Bowie knife. Is it Bowie knife or Bowie knife?
Well, it would be Bowie knife in America,
yeah.
but one imagines it was probably Jim Bowie. Jim Bowie invented the Bowie knife.
Right.
But I don't know if he was at the Alamo.
Yeah.
Crockett was, of course.
Yes.
No.
And Tubbs. That's a Miami voice.
He was
I made that leap,
No,
and
he won't
as I
know
leapt,
that.
I thought that's a terrible
Also,
mistake.
he won't know that because he was on the drink back then.
Yes, that's true. I didn't get it, but I was prepared to laugh along.
He didn't have a telly. He didn't have a toothbrush.
That's so. What happened in Phil Collins' life that he thought, you know what? I'm going to get rid of my Alamo memorabilia.
Well, apparently he's been obsessed with it. So he used to be obsessed with westerns when he was a kid in the 50s. So it's growing up seeing cowboys.
Oh, Steve, why do you
cowboys
know
and
so
Indians.
much about Phil Collins?
I'd like to keep abreast.
Does your life feat Phil Collins
It
in
does.
some way?
My life is strictly no jacket required. I should have taken his advice.
You should have.
I've realised.
Oh, we've come full circle.
We have come full
I
circle.
love it.
That's tremendous.
And I've got this news just in on
And
the Ulster Man.
very good Doctor Who story, full circle. Carry on.
This news just in on the Ulster Man.
Oh, yes.
Hi, Frank, Emily, and Steve-O. I think you'll find the Ulster Man was actually known in the underworld as the Ulcer Man, as he suffered terribly with stomach problems.
Do you think that's real, or is it a joke?
P.S. I was curious to see what Emily looks like, so I had a look on your website. To my surprise, she looks like a version of Adele, he says.
Well, I don't think that's
Adele.
accurate. I think Adele looks like Roisin Connerty, and I mean that as a compliment to
I
both
think
of them.
Adele.
But never mind that, what about the Ulster Man?
I wonder if there was two Ulcer men on the in the underworld, Peptic and Duodenal. Anyway, that we come to the end of the show now. We're going to have to leave it there. We're going to have to leave Phil Collins hanging, as it were.
Oh dear.
And if someone's just tuned into that, they'll think, "Oh, 'cause that newsflash." I mean, he's taken it bad. How would Adele feel then? I wouldn't buy the album, would you? There'd be blood on the tracks. Blood on the Tracks, of course, a very excellent Bob Dylan album. And yes, thank you very much for listening today. And you know what? I'm going to go with that reader. I think he was absolutely spot on. Now get out.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.